You can hear me, guys. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. As you can see, I am on live across all platforms. If I'm looking here, there, and everywhere, I'm on IG Live down at the bottom. Today, we are continuing speaking to some of the inspirational co-authors who stepped it forward, or should I say, paid it forward with the notes to my younger self. Now, this lady you've been introduced to from the Imperfectly Perfect Campaign platform on the podcast, and more so everything she does. She's a powerful woman of God. So I am very, very grateful to have got to know her for over a year and a half, I think now. So welcome, first and foremost, Somalia Brown.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Thank you, everybody.
Welcome. Is it your show or my show?
I know, right? I'm welcoming everybody that's coming. Come on, come.
Yeah. How's your day going so far?
Pretty good, pretty good. I can't complain.
Pretty good. Well, 30th of November is coming up soon. The book is about to launch. The pre-releases have already gone out. How does it feel? Like, as I said at the beginning, no, actually, I'm going to take it back a little bit just to explain a little bit, because I always talk about you very often, but there's nothing better than hearing it first person. So just to explain to some of the audience members, because we are live and the replay will be going across all the IPC socials. Who are you, Somalia?
Well, like he said, my name is Somalia Brown, and I am a disruptor. I disrupt all things and everything concerning you. I help world changers understand who they are. A lot of world changers are black sheeps of the family. A lot of world changers don't know their strength. They don't understand why they're always isolated, why they can see things other people can't. And it's because we're meant to step out and be a part. I always say it's kind of like that picture that you see on Instagram where everyone's going one way and it's this one red that decides to go left. That's who I help. I help you understand you were not born to fit in. You were born to disrupt, dismantle, interrupt, and everything else in that vein. So pretty much that is Somalia Brown in a nutshell. I disrupt your mindset, your way of thinking, your heart, and your purpose. That's the number one thing, your purpose and how to look at it.
And she does that. I mean, as I said, I think we've got to know each other now for about a year and a half or maybe longer. When the pandemic hit on Clubhouse, and you certainly have been a huge help with IPC and myself in helping me disrupt things. And one of the things I wanted to ask you with that is when you do help people, we'll get onto the book, but I think it's important for people to understand more about what you do because it is powerful and how you've helped me. And everybody sees on the external, IPC looks amazing. This celebrities is all this. However, you know the behind the scenes, you know what it's taken me, and there's been a lot of struggles. But the way that you interpret it is there's a lot of tests because you are connected to source. You do help people with that stuff. How is it that when you come to disrupt that narrative and help change that mindset, that you've been able to do it for yourself and that you lead? What did it take you to really disrupt things in the terms of what you do?
So, first, for me, I had to commit to being different. It started way back. And even for you, you can, everyone that I talk to, if I make you aware, then you're like, this isn't new. I mean, I was playing soccer at 5, I was playing co ed soccer. And so I was a disruptor. I was the only girl on the soccer team with boys. That was number one. Then I was playing soccer. It wasn't popular in the US at the time. So everything I've ever done has always been a disruption form, but I didn't understand what it was at the time. So I would say speed up to college years. My college coach is like, I want you to be the captain. And I'm like, no, negative. I'm coming off of an injury. No way, no how. And then it took me years after that to see what he saw in me, that what is naturally a part of me is I naturally level up people. So basically, when I would step on the soccer field, the whole team's morale would go up. The whole team's grit would just go to another level. And at the time, I'd get so upset because I'd be like, why do you wait for me to get on the field? Do it. And then when I get on the field, we just keep going. But it was a gift that I had that I didn't know I had. So for me, it started to understand my past. And that's one thing that I tell people: if you know your past, and they say that, history repeats itself. If you don't know it, it's going to repeat itself the exact same way. So looking back is a lot that I do. I help people go to the root of their issue. I show you when you were 5 what happened, and then in your next decade, 15, what happened. And there's always a commonality. My commonality was I influence people by just being myself, by the way I dress, by the way I talk, by the things that I do. So it was like, do something with that. And that literally is a slogan of mine: do something. You have it,
Mm.
it's in your hand. It doesn't always have to be major, just do something about it. So for me, that's how it started, and that's what I did. I accepted it. Once I accepted it, it was easier to take off and start disrupting, start saying, well, this is why I don't go left when everyone goes right, because I'm not supposed to. This is why when everyone at work is like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm like, no. And then the more touchy subject, when I go to church and everyone's hooping and hollering, I'm like, God, I don't feel you. I don't feel bad anymore. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Yeah.
everybody else is just hooping and hollering and falling out. And I'm like, I don't feel you. Now I know why. Now I understand.
And I think anything, if I can say to listeners and watching the replay, what I've learned from you is that individual journey. Because I used to go in rooms, and a friend who's a man of God as well sent me this meme, and he was like, Glenn, this is you. And the meme was to take the Michael out of me by showing me and a red carpet and expecting God to come up to me, shake my hand, and speak to me in person. And I was like, yeah, you know me too well. I was like, so what I've taken from you guys is obviously you have to have that discernment as you walk along your path. But with the Pay It Forward notes to my younger self, when this came across you and I was telling you about it, what was led in your spirit to obviously get involved with it?
Well, I'm gonna be 100% honest, and it's probably not an answer that you would expect, but basically, I knew you and I were supposed to collaborate from a year ago. So when I saw it, I was just like, God, and He was like, "That's it." So, I mean, it was cut and dry. Just like I already knew that we were supposed to do something now. So when I saw it, and then when I saw what it was about, I was just like, I can do that. That's not that bad. Actually, that's pretty cool. But I'm gonna be honest. Initially, it was just IPC, Glenn, God, yes, let's go.
Oh, wow. Love that. And it certainly has been bringing the right people across my
Yep.
path. And for everything that, yeah, you've given me advice on, I very much appreciate it. How did you find the process? Because obviously you've done a lot of work on yourself, like you said at the beginning anyway. So how did you find that process?
It was very simple. I had already done a lot of the work, and again, being a disruptor that I am, um, when we're doing the process, I kind of already had everything together. I already had my name, I already had my bio, and I saw that was a difference in the community. But the one thing that I noticed, that again, I was just like, God, it doesn't matter if I don't try to disrupt, I just do. Um, my story, to not tell a lot so that you guys go read it and buy the book, started from the womb. Well, how can I go back to understand the womb? I can't. And I asked her, I said, have you ever had this? She goes, nope, you're the first. And I was like, yeah, disruption again. So I was like, it never fails. She's like, no, I've never had anyone that had to go all the way back to the womb. So
Wow.
yeah. So it was definitely, the process it wasn't hard because I had already done a lot of the work. It was just putting it on paper.
So this is about positively impacting 1 billion as a collective to come forward. What is your hope for the book, or what is your hope for it to land in the right person's hand to take away from your story and everyone's story?
Honestly, what I want is for everyone who reads it is to see themselves. I think we have, and you and I've had this talk, and it could go down a long rabbit hole. Instagram, you don't see yourself. You see an image of what they want you to see. This book is raw, it's real, it's emotional. I mean, there's all kind of stories in there, and you can see yourself in one of them. If it's meant for you, you will see yourself, and not just one. You may see yourself in part of mine, and part of Christy, and part of Claire. You will see yourself in one or more, and that's rare. So as simple as that answer is, open up social media. Do you see yourself with the women with the nice hair, perfectly airbrushed tan, the makeup on point every time, the mom who looks like her house is never a mess, and you look at your house and you're just like, how the heck does she do that? You don't see yourself anymore. They're not real. People are no longer real. And what that's why I like IPC, because that's why I said we've talked about this. It's God is about being real, being who you are. It's your story, it's your testimony that saves another person. It's not the curated socially you. It's the real you that fell and bumped your knee that's going to save someone, not the one that looks all put together.
Yeah, I love that. And one question, like I say, we could go down a rabbit hole, because I just think it's important when people reach out and connect with you, like how powerful you are in it. And several of the co-authors have been reaching out to me going, there's just something about Somalia that's so powerful and we need to connect with them. Like, well, reach out to her then. I think you give off this such a powerful essence that they're like, should I? Does she like me? Because if she can see things, will she like me? Will she not like? But if, like me, as I said, I wasn't brought up around church, I wasn't brought up around spirituality, it's almost like you all say, like, God's molding you. If there's somebody who's listening to this from your experience and through you channeling, what would you say to somebody that's going, well, look, I do try and go to God, but things always just seem to go wrong for me, so I don't know where to start, or how do I even acknowledge God, or how do I, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Honestly, start where you're at. It's, again, I'm real simple. I'm real to the basics, because a lot of people make things all extra. We make things harder than they are. God is right where you are. If you're listening and you've stumbled, like I said, you've fallen. I mean, look, 2020 hit us all hard, and we're all reeling and bouncing back. I mean, mentally, spiritually, physically, health wise, it has hit us all hard. Start where you are at. All you have, I'm going to tell you my story. Glenn and I are very similar. I didn't grow up in the church. I didn't know God till I was 18, 19. And I remember in middle school walking, and I don't know where I had heard about God. I didn't know about Jesus, the Holy Spirit, nothing. And I looked up in the sky and I literally said, if you're real, show me. It took him maybe 10 years later to show me, but I asked. My motto is, you have not because you ask not. If you don't know if he's real, if my story, Glenn's story, or anyone's story that you're watching, listening, captivates you, but you're kind of skeptical, which is human nature, ask. If you're real, show me you're real. Make yourself real to me. And then wait. And I promise you, he will. Because our God is a perfect gentleman, and he only comes where he's invited and who wants to experience him. So simple as it is, wherever you are, invite him into your situation, and I promise you he will show up.
One huge question that's just come to me, like, you know, sometimes it just flows out, as in, with all the people, all the women and the men that you have helped throughout the years in disrupting, like corporate leaders and thought leaders, what is the commonality that they have going wrong and that society has placed upon them to put them in that position?
Oh my gosh. The commonality is kind of the question you asked. I can't hear him. I don't see him, because society has placed God in a box, and they have taught us how to look for him. But the problem is, you have your own experience, just like you have yours. For me, I hear him audibly, like he's right here. But for someone else, they've never heard him. They see him, physically see a manifestation. For the next person, it's in writing. Every time they open up the Bible, I had a friend like that in college. We would go, it was a soccer mate. And everywhere we went on a trip, you know, there's Bibles in the hotel. She would open up the Bible and be like, that's for me. That's how he spoke to her. And I just watched it like, what? She's just like, or if it was open already, she'd go and she'd skim. That was for me. And I was just like, what do you mean? And she was teaching me. She was just like, I was just taught every time there's a Bible open, there's something in it for you on that page. He still doesn't really speak to me that way. He speaks to me audibly, but that was hers. And society has told us, get on your knees and do this. There's
Mm.
nothing wrong with that, but let's be real. Glenn and everybody else listening, in the middle of the day in rush hour and someone cuts you off and they make you angry, are you really going to get out your car, get on your knees and do this? No, that's
Mm.
not real. You know what I mean? So they
Yeah.
teach us these ways, or by your bedside before you go to bed and you do this. It's so robotic, and God is, he's experiential, your experience. So if we get away from the way they've taught us, like you said, society has taught us how to seek him, and you literally just seek him on your own, I promise you, he will show up like never before. It's taking God out of the box, taking his presence out of the box.
Wow. So powerful. And then biggest question, and you've answered it on the podcast. So guys, remember to go to the Imperfectly Perfect podcast, because Somalia is on there with an amazing story. This is a different story that she is
Yeah.
telling, obviously, with a book. So don't think I need to go to there and then not get the book, because you need to get the book, guys, to impact 1 billion lives. But what does, I suppose we did that podcast now over a year ago. So
Yeah.
furthermore, coming out the latter end of the pandemic and seeing the struggles with people, everything else, what does Imperfectly Perfect mean to you now? Same thing, or?
You know, I would say the same thing. Coming on the heels of it, like I said before, I think and I hope, at least I know from my community, what I'm showing the world changers in my community is the pandemic showed you who you were, right? Then are, now were, because it's 2 years post. Are you still that person 20 years or 2 years later? Like, are you still that person where you can hold on to unforgiveness knowing that people dropped like flies in 2020? Are you still that person where you're scrolling mindlessly through Instagram when you know you could be perfecting your mindset for the next platform that he's given you? So I would say yes, because God looks for those who are okay with being imperfect. Because those who think they're perfect, do you need anyone when you think you're perfect? No, you don't need God. You're like, I got this. You can take a back seat. I got this. But when you know you're imperfect and you accept that, which is what I loved about your name, imperfectly imperfect. That's how I kind of say that about waiting. Impatiently, patiently waiting. It's the same thing.
Mm,
You are not perfect, and you own that. Because when you tell your scars, when you show your scars and let people see your battle wounds, they love you. The world now is so tired of facades, so tired of looking perfect, that's what, to me, that's what 2020 did to help the Imperfectly Perfect campaign. It helped put a spotlight like, yo, this perfect stuff is for the birds. Like, you're striving for something you're never ever going to achieve, because when you meet your person that you're absolutely in love with in person, you're like, you know what I
mm.
mean? You're
Yep.
taken aback, and you're just like, see, that's why you don't meet your fan. That's why you don't meet your role models or because they're
It's
never
true.
the same. You see what I'm saying? They're never
Yep.
the same. So I would say that it's still the same, but on the post side of it, 2 years post, I think we were a year post in literally 6 months, because I think we did it last summer. So we were literally
Mm,
6 months post, like 2020, the big disruption. Um, I would say the question that I would ask about what imperfectly perfect campaign means for me is, am I still the same person in 2020? Because he allowed that disruption to see what you were going to allow out of you. Because now for me, life has a whole new meaning. I mean, shoot, health is a high commodity now.
yeah.
I'm working 10 times harder on my health than I was before, because another pandemic comes, another plague comes, another whatever comes, we beat it because mentally we were strong enough. You know what I mean? I'm not saying, and don't take this out of context, anyone that lost a loved one to the pandemic, but I'm going to tell you, I know one person personally who passed, and I know a couple of people who lived, but they were in the hospital on respiratory, in ICU critical. And they all said the same thing. They all said at a certain point with it, they asked themselves, am I going to get out of here? Am I going to live? Am I going to die? And to me, They made a choice right there. One made a choice, I'm going to keep fighting. I'm tired, but I'm going to keep fighting. Another one said, I'm tired, and they bowed. You see what I'm saying? So it all comes
Mm.
down to choice. What are you going to choose to do now? Are you going to choose to try to stay perfect? Or are you going to choose to say, you know what? It's okay to be imperfectly perfect and show my battle scars so I can help the next person.
Wow. And Helen says she's online. Absolutely, Somalia sounds so real. She is very real. I've got two questions for you. I
Okay.
think in this day and age, again, attesting to what you do, what we all do when we're trying to help people, there's a lot of people who struggle with compete, compare, judgment, when people gossip about you, when people do this. And it's like, you help thought leaders disrupt to go to that next level. What I have noticed is when you are taken to that next level, it can be incredibly blessing, but what it can bring also is people who don't want to see you get to that level, who will try anything. And nothing against anybody, but there's a lot of people going through the same thing. How do you help those keep moving forward?
Okay, so when your platform comes, and I say this all the time in all of my club rooms, when your platform manifests, when what you are supposed to be doing, like Glenn, this is his platform, it has manifested to the fullest. When other people show up, basically, you're asking me when other people show up that are not really for you, the gossip, the tabloids, literally from an ex-athlete's mindset, is you got to know that when someone else is number one, you were gunning for that spot. Now it depends on your heart. I was gunning to be number one. I wasn't malicious. I wasn't hoping they got hurt. But you got to know that there are people out there, and accept that there are people out there that in track and field, I hope she pulls a hamstring so I can win. They want to win at all costs. There are people like that. And for people like Glenn and myself who are truly caring and nice, we can't fathom that someone would want to win on the back of someone else's demise. But the best advice that I usually give people is accept that there are people that are not going to like you. Why? Because you're not for everyone. I'm not for everyone. Trust me, people have tried me and they run. If they're not ready for me, oh, they go so fast. I'm like, what happened to your friend? There's like, oh, They will try me discovery session and they won't come back. And I'll know they won't come back because they're not ready. I put the mirror in your face. I show you the real. I'm gonna give you the real, and I need you to accept the real. I need you to know who you really are, and don't come with fluff, and don't come with the mentality of the victim where I just want to talk, talk, talk. But when I give you advice to fix it, you don't want to fix it. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not for everyone. And that's something I had to learn. So I had to accept, which is what I say. My voice is only assigned to certain people. Only certain people can hear my voice. So I'm going to give you guys something, whoever's listening, whoever asked that question. When your platform arises, when you get where you're supposed to be, only ask for assigned people. And God knows who's assigned to you. I always say, I don't want followers, especially in my rooms and clubhouse. Don't follow me if you're not assigned to me, because you're not going to stick around. The next shiny thing, the next person who has a nice voice, you're going to run. I want those who want to stick around to grow, get what they need, and then go. So, my advice to wrap that up is when it comes, accept that there are going to be people that are going to try to tear you down. Accept that there are going to be moles in your group until you find them out and evict them. Accept that the kingdom of darkness is going to send agents to your plans, to your business plan, to try to tear it down because that's his job. And then accept that everyone's not for you. And if he strips everyone, it's okay, because you know what that means? He's bringing the right people. And then you got to
Mm.
accept that he's going to bring the right people.
And guys, this is why you need to follow this lady. This is how powerful. And this is the one way that I hear things, because God uses people for me at the moment. And when you speak, confirmations come through and other people. So this is the whole way. Where can people find out more information about you? I mean, the book is out 30th of November. People, make sure I'll put up all the links, but you need to go and I won't say follow this lady because of what you just said, but you know what I mean. You've heard what she said. Helen said sounds so real. She is, and I'm very grateful God's kept her in my life for over nearly 2 years now. So, guys, make sure you find out where she is. Somalia, take it away. Where can they find you?
Absolutely. I am on Clubhouse at Real One Somalia. That's where you can find me on a daily basis. I have rooms right now. I'm running a November is Speaking to You. So if you are one ready to rise to the occasion, we're going through a series of how your digital world and how you don't mindlessly scroll. Your email can say, congratulations, you're approved. But you just scroll through that. Your email is talking to you. It's telling you you've been approved for something. Go figure out what that is. So you can catch me on Clubhouse every day in the month of November at Real One Somalia with the Clubhouse of World Changers. I'm on Instagram at Real One Somalia. And you can catch my YouTube, which is I Am Somalia Brown, because I just found out that they are allowing you to get a handle. And of course, the
I did today.
country. Yes, but the country got Somalia, so I am Somalia Brown. So yes, and then I have my own website, and it's somaliabrown.com. And if you are interested in learning more about me right now, I am running a special where you can try my World Changers app for 3 days to see if it's something for you. You're able to scroll through, see exclusive videos. There's things on there that's not on YouTube. There's things that I put on there, resources, cards. I'm a big fan of cards. Whatever I say, I like to put it down in steps for people because I know people need steps just to kind of remember how to do certain things. So yeah, you can find that on Mighty Networks, and it's under World Changers as well.
Amazing. And guys, like I always say, you really need to have great people around you and in your corner, because you will start clapping the loudest for everyone's success when they speak to people like Somalia. Because what she has done, as I say, IPC has taken an army to get it to where it is.
Yes.
I might have been putting the work in behind the scenes, but without God bringing people like Somalia and people along the way, I could have quit so many times. They are there for encouragement and getting you through these times, and also helping in personal and professional development. So go and find Somalia today, guys. But Somalia, as always, it is a pleasure to speak to you and hear the words of wisdom that come out of your mouth. So guys, make sure, as I always say as well, keep having the hard conversations, because it's the hard
Yes.
conversations that save lives.
Yes.